This is probably the world's cheapest 35mm f1.4 full-frame lens from Pergear that you can get in the market as of 2024. This little guy, although being manual focus, does not have weather sealing or any clickable buttons. However, it does have an aperture dial, offers a bright aperture up to f1.4, buttery smooth focusing ring, and the coolest part, it costs only $103. So in today's video, we will take a look at everything there is to know about the 35mm f1.4 full-frame lens from Pergear, geek out on a little lens testing review with sample images, and see all the compromises that you will find, especially in the image quality and sharpness department. Hopefully this will help you decide if you should consider picking up this lens. Now, before diving into the video, disclaimers first. Pergear did send me this lens asking if I was interested to review it. However, this is not a sponsored video. Pergear have no input in whatever that I'll be sharing in this video, nor do they get to preview this video before it is published, and everything I say, it is of my own opinion. With that out of the way, let's dive right in. We'll start off with a quick unboxing. Now, let's take a look at what comes inside this tiny little box. Inside the box, we have a full metal lens hood that takes in a front diameter of 42mm. And next, we have a lens pouch that is rather soft, and inside it is our 35mm f1.4 lens that comes included with a lens cap as well as a lens mount. So let's take a look at the lens. It does indeed have a classic look to it, as well as a very high build quality. Weighing in at around 242 grams, it's made of full metal from the lens hood to the body, the focus ring, the aperture ring, as well as the lens mount. Full metal body construction, and in the hand, it does feel quite premium and well built. The focusing ring situated at the front is buttery smooth, and it has a low-profile crescent-shaped metallic finger tab all around the focus ring to help with focusing, which is a nice texture to hold on. Now, this lens has a clicked aperture with clear indications from f1.4 all the way up to f16. However, the indications are not evenly distributed, as you can see right here. f1.4, f2.8, f4, f8, and jumping directly to f16. Everything in between, and you will have to guess it yourself. The aperture mechanism has 10 aperture blades for a very smooth bokeh rendering when shooting at f1.4. The lens front filter size is quite small at 43mm, and it comes with a circular metallic lens hood that interestingly has a 52mm on the other end. Now, this lens is not weather sealed, so I won't recommend to shoot with this lens in rainy conditions. Anyways, let's look at image quality, and I'll start by mounting it on my full-frame 33MP Sony a7 Mark IV with in-body camera corrections turned off during this test. As you can see in the middle of the image, sharpness and contrast when shooting at f1.4 is quite soft, I have to say. Just slightly out of the center image, it is quite bad, and towards the corner, it gets even softer. Stopping down to f1.8 and f2 doesn't really improve sharpness a whole lot. Corner sharpness at f2.8 though is much better. And moving back in the middle, sharpness can be seen to be improved. Stopping down to f4, the corners is much sharper as well as the middle, and the sharpest point I believe is around f8, and all the way up to f16, and the image becomes less sharp due to diffractions. Now, a quick comparison with Sony's FE 35mm f1.8. When shooting wide open, it is quite sharp all around, and stopping down to only f2.8, we get razor sharp corner-to-corner image quality. Surely this $90 China lens will not perform the same or as good as Sony's native full-frame 35mm f1.8. Now, let's take a closer look at distortion and vignetting. Now, if I'm being honest, the lens has some of the wildest barrel distortion, especially for a 35mm lens, and even with the lens hood off. Stopping down the lens doesn't really help with the vignetting. The corners still appear quite dark. Stopping down to f5.6, and the vignetting is completely gone. The minimum focus distance here is around 30cm, getting you somewhat close to smaller subject at f1.4. But the image quality is very soft, but at f4, things are sharper, which is a good thing to know. Now, let's take a look at how the lens deal with direct light, testing out the lens flare. At f1.4, things are very bad, and the lens is suffering from quite serious flaring and ghosting problems. Stop down to f2.8 or f4 and you will see some ghosting still appearing in your footage. Next, let's take a look at some sunstar images with the lens stopped down to f4. You get some decent sunstar right off the bat. Stopping down to f8 gets you a more pronounced sunstar, which is pretty nice. Next, we will take a look at bokeh that this lens produces at f1.4. The bokeh is definitely not the smoothest in the world, but it sure has a very nice character to it. Out of focus backgrounds looks creamy and blurry. The highlights of the bokeh balls are also very pleasing. You can notice some cat eye bokeh balls at the corner of the image, but at the center it is round and nice when shooting at f1.4. Lastly, we'll take a look at longitudinal chromatic aberration. At f1.4, it does seem to be quite apparent. Dropping down to f2 or f2.8 only reduces it slightly, and only at f4 to about f8, it is completely gone. Overall, I think that this lens is pretty okay. 35mm on full frame, in my opinion, is a very popular and well-known comfortable focal length as it offers you a decently wide field of view, and the f1.4 offers better low-light performance and out-of-focus background blur. Surely not the highest performing lens, but build quality-wise, it is rock solid. I've since took this lens out on multiple street photography sessions, and here are some of the street photos taken with this lens. And I have to say, once you get used to pulling focus with this lens and actually being cautious not to always shoot wide open, I think it can really help to immerse yourself when doing street photography. Well, at least it did for me. The focus ring is buttery smooth and the out-of-focus background blur is creamy and nice. Well, the only thing I would complain is the center sharpness when shooting at f1.4, because that's the whole point that you buy a 35mm f1.4. That being said, I still consider this a very good lens considering the price and it being full frame with the popular 35mm focal range. That being said, if you are interested, here is a 10% discount off Pergear's 35mm f1.4. Be sure to use code Pergear35 1.4FF at checkout for a 10% discount. And if you would like to support the channel, I also have affiliate links to purchase them. And this will be the best way to support the channel in the work that I create. And that's basically it from me. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. My name is Ken and I'll catch you all in the next video. Stay safe, peace out, and bye-bye.